I'm a talent manager here in LA for a company that me and my partner here called 10X Talent.
Yeah, like I said, he's late for it and I'm K for it, and I help co-found 10 Times Talent. I'm an executive and publicist.
Okay, and I'm with Covington, and I'm the owner and CEO of Infernal Music Group, which is IMG Records. Some of you probably heard of that, but that's me. And I'm the oldest one in here. I'm 70 years old. Okay.
Right, you got to recognize us today. Now, we were talking, came late last night, and something sparked my questions asking here. And a lot of the panelists already touched on this, but you can all touch on it from a management perspective. You come to LA, you're here, you having certain success, you're having certain meetings, and you're thinking like, boom, this is about to be my moment. But what a lot of panelists have spoken to today is like this stuff, them being on this stage, the things they're speaking about have been years, decades in the making. How do you, not burst a young artist's bubble, but let them know like, hey, it takes some skin in the game to get where we are?
Oh wow, that's a good one. There's many levels to skin in the game. I mean, I'm pretty sure he can say the same thing to me, in conversation about management. But specifically for somebody brand new, I've been here 13 years. I've been grinding at this game for over a decade, right? And so you came to our studio last night, and for the new artists who just never been to LA, you come to my studio, you're like, oh wow, I want this. Like, how do I get to be a part of this? How do I do this? And they don't really realize that I have been grinding, crying, crawling, walking, praying, jogging, just to get that opportunity that they saw last night. And it's just a tough road. I would just say have patience. And there was somebody that was a casting director named Twinkie Bird. I remember her in my first year. She says, Latham, you're great. You're going to be great at whatever you decide to do, but it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. I'm like, what? No, I'm dope. You see how talented I am? I can do this and that. She said, Latham, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. Holla at me, right? And would you believe it rang true? Like in my 10-year mark, like things started happening for me. I started doing this and like finding this idea and having it created, writing this movie, shooting this movie, finding this artist. So yeah, it just takes time, and I would say the same thing. It takes 10 years to be overnight success.
If I heard you correctly, you said, whoa, this is my moment. I have yet to feel that. Like he said, he's been grinding for 13. I jumped on the bandwagon 5 years ago. My path was very untraditional as a publicist because I started working for TenX Corporate. So my whole background was athletes and athleticism. But wow, that moment, I think I will feel that when I see that I've created more space for women that look like me behind the scenes. And until then, I don't think I could say, wow, this is that. Regardless of us building a studio literally from scratch. So I know some of y'all stopped by last night and was like, whoa. And yeah, wow, but at the same time, not enough.
And then it gets harder. Like when you do something great, it's not easier. It's like, okay, now the eyes are on you. It was kind of easier when no eyes were on me because nobody was checking for me. Like I like that time. So when the eyes are now on me, everybody like, what you doing now? And it'll never be better than what you saw last night, right? I can't regress. We can't go backwards. We only have to go forward. So the pressure gets even more mounted.
Okay, well I would say whoa, because in 1965 I was playing drums professionally. Everybody don't get that break. Everybody don't get that chance. But one thing I have to say to all you young artists, practice, practice, practice. Practice your craft. Practice your craft. Learn your craft. And the other thing that you must learn that's very important is the business. If you don't learn the business, I don't care how great you play, how great you sing, how great you do any of this stuff, you will not get the money that you deserve. You will not receive any royalties or anything And number one, for you artists that don't know, I'm going to drop a jewel on you right now. Do you know how many situations that a copyright cover when you do your copyrights for a song? Somebody tell me. Nobody? Okay. How many situations does a copyright cover when you when you copyright your song?
One.
How many?
We got one. Somebody said from the audience.
Speak loud. You might be right. You're right. You're absolutely right. And listen, if you learn that, and let that be the first thing that you learn when you begin to do your music, then you'll find out that you will begin to be successful. Why? Because number one, you got mechanical royalties, you got performance royalties, you got all different type of royalties that are covered under the copyright law. That way, you know what a derivative law is?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Go ahead, you can ask me, if you don't mind, do you? Ask me now. You know what? Okay, a derivative law is when someone take a song and they record a song. Now they heard your song, and they record a song that's not yours or don't sound like yours, but it has similar influences that yours have. When that song is done like that, then you have the right to sue them if you know the copyright laws. You have to understand these copyright laws if you are an artist. Okay? So I can talk all day. So.
Yeah, that's an important question. We're in the works of that right now. So everything that you're speaking of, Latham, our other partners that are here that are head of the music division, are literally having an appointment on Monday to get all this paper.
And I mean, we can continue the discussion. Just to piggyback off that, it's that one, I guess, the benefits of hiring management. I mean, we hear so many crappy stories. You see the biopics with TLC and who knows who, and you get pennies, and it's like, wait, the manager is getting X, Y, Z. Are these some of the things that a good management team should speak to in your situation?
A good management team should be able to take their artists and point their artists in the direction that they need to go. As far as saying, look, this is what you need to do. First of all, pay your taxes. A lot of artists make money and don't pay no taxes. They think that, oh man, I just made $2,000 on this show. Well, let me tell you something. A lot of people make $2,000 cash money and they don't pay no taxes. But if you are in this thing to have a career, you need to begin to pay your taxes. So what you do, you put together anybody that's worth a grain of salt will tell you, you do a W-9. You know, you do a W-9 when you receive money from whoever gave you that money. You do a W-9 to protect yourself, to make sure that you protect yourself. Not necessarily that individual, because that individual that you got that $2,000 from, he might not give you a W-9. He might not give you nothing. He might just say, here the money. And what you gonna do? You gotta run off with it. Oh man, I got you $2,000. Well, let me tell you, when you start making $10, $15, $20, $30,000, you're gonna have that same mentality. I'm not gonna pay it. I'm not paying $100 in my
And you end up in jail, like some people are not gonna, name. What would you all say are good components of being managers and things that people should look into management for?
I feel like there's just many components that you could choose, like your particular manager, or reason why you chose him. I'm relationship-based, right? And so like
kind of theme today.
Yeah, I really am. Like I go off the energy. So everybody's talented, especially in LA, right? You can walk down the street, I guarantee I can find somebody who's dope at whatever talent they possess. So the hard part is finding the inside of that person and seeing if they possess a good spirit, if they possess a good energy. Because the road is going to get ugly. There is no smooth road in LA. So when that road comes, I need to know where your foundation is. Like how is your energy? Is it good when when the going gets tough? Because it is. I mean, and you're going to come into some situations where your ideas for the artists are not their ideas. It's, you know, they think of themselves in a particular way. And it's just like, yo, if we take that approach, we're going to keep running into the same wrong. So like, let's try this approach, see if this works. And in order to get like an artist to do that, you have to have a good relationship with them. So like, that's why how I lead, you know, with my management style. It's really good relationship first.
I would definitely say all of that, but also purpose-based. I'm very purpose-based. So as a publicist and manager, I just feel understanding who you are in a relationship level, that's great. I want to know what your purpose is behind your craft, and that will help me more support you. So even say, because not everyone is so deep and sometimes the conversation can be too large, but say if you're an artist that you're not a lyricist, you're not diving deep. This may be a one-off and maybe a TikTok situation. I know how to handle you. I can't go deep. You know, I can help you succeed, I can elevate you, but I know that I have to hold some type of emotion back because your purpose is not my purpose. But if your purpose is very similar to mine, I'm going to go deeper with you. Because now I really need to make sure that when we elevate you, we're elevating you appropriately. And what's so great about 10 Times Talent is when we do collab or bring in other brands, we never want that other brand to get lost. And that's so important. I never want anybody that I work with, brand or purpose, to be overshadowed by my own. I thrive by making your purpose shine. So I feel like as management or as persons looking for a manager, just make sure you're really going after authenticity and transparency. Because someone can mislead you and they're not sending you in the right direction because their purpose is to shine as a manager. So sometimes they put you in the wrong situation, but it was great for them. It was a resume builder for them, but you out here looking like a clown, you know, and it's a balance.
Okay, now, since we're on the subject of managers, there are two kinds of managers, okay? One manager is the one that the artist pays, and the other manager is the one that the manager pays for everything for the artist, okay? You have to decide on which one of those situations you're able to handle. If you don't have a budget, you can forget hiring a manager that you have to pay. And the reason you have a manager that you have to pay is because that manager has the network that will move you to the next level. Okay? Now, the manager that pays you or pays for everything that you do, he's looking at a return for his money years later. Not right away, but years later, he's looking for a return. But I go back to one thing that I always say, practice, practice, practice. If you don't practice your craft, you're not going to be doing anything but blowing piss in the wind, excuse my expression. And that's what you're going to be doing, okay? So I would advise all you young people, my age, I would advise you all to really study what you're doing. I wouldn't care if you want to be a trap artist or R&B artist or pop, rock, blues. Let me tell you something. It's one thing I learned out of all these years I've been in this business. You know what that is? The business never changes. The only thing that changes is the technology, because it evolves, and the people, because they die. All right? So you all keep that in mind. But one thing that you do, have you all, you know, the Bible of the music business is called This Business of Music. Now, I don't know how many of you all actually interested in doing anything other than just getting up rapping, and you're not interested in studying your craft. When I'm talking about studying your craft, I'm talking about the business side of it. Because the business side of it is where you make your money. You don't make your money. Do you think, you know who makes the most money in the industry? The songwriter and the publisher. All right? So learn how to write songs. Learn how to write songs. Learn how to self-publish. if that's what you want to do. But learn about publishing. Learn about publishing administration. Learn about these things. That's the only way you're going to be, you can be successful jumping up on stage, jumping around like a chicken and carrying on all day long. You can do that. You know, you can do that. But let me tell you something. When it comes down to counting that money, you're going to be counting chicken feathers. You ain't going to count the chicken you can eat. You know, so you got to really think about what you're doing. You got to really think about what you're doing. And the reason I am adamant about this is because when I started playing in 1965, the only thing I did was play drums. Guess what? I played drums and I got paid. Played drums and I got paid. But my money from my royalties, my performance royalties, and all that stuff that I should have gotten was going, boom, somewhere else. And when you get an unscrupulous manager and agent, watch out. You're going to find yourself with nothing when years later. But God has blessed me to be able to, in 1972, I got my first record deal. My first record deal. And I was 22 years old. I like to say 19, that's when I tried to start on record label. When I was 19, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I actually got beat out the money that I had made from the time, from 1965 to 1969. I made a lot of money. But I lost it all because I didn't know nothing about the business. So you all, please learn the business. I mean, I would love to see all of you on stage making millions. But let me tell you something. Listen to what happened to Katy Perry. And Katy Perry was one of the biggest artists out there. You know what happened to her? You know she don't even own all those masters for all those hit records that she made. Did y'all know that? She sold millions and millions of records, but she don't own the masters. So you know what that means? That means she can't do nothing with those songs.
Right. After she
Nothing. Right.
So what I'm hearing is, even though you hire somebody to do a job for you, you need to be knowledgeable behind the scenes because, I mean, I might have to be a business owner and know my finances, but when I scale, I want to hire a CPA. So the same thing with the business industry. Just because you're an artist and you're up on stage performing, you also need to be knowledgeable of what else is going on with your money so you can be successful. Now, okay, I don't need to put you on the spot, put you on the spot a little bit. Just a little bit. I mean, because people, they're not blind. You're our first female panelist of today. Yeah, but we have more. We have more. The next panel. But just speak a little bit to your experience about being a female in a male-dominated industry.
Well, it's not the industry, it's the world. So regardless of what I do in my business, I have to correlate it to my lifestyle. What is it like? It's complex. It's layered. It's tricky. It's unpredictable. It's unfair. But anything in this life is not fair. It's even harder when you're a woman of color. It's even harder when you're a woman of color that's a brown skin. So there's a lot to overcome in that, but it's life, you know? So I really do hate to just put it to the industry. It's not the industry. We have to maneuver in life. How do we do it? It's just understanding people. Even if you're not made for that person, even if you don't agree with that person, how do you maneuver through it? And ultimately, it's just one, being a listener, allowing that person to get off whatever it is on their chest. If it's a deal that is lingering or it's just not going to go through, it's just overcoming that and learning how to say, okay, I got to move forward. Everything is just pushing through and moving forward. That's the only thing you can do. You can't combat it. They expect it. You can't be emotional about it. They expect it. So you have to do everything they don't expect, which is boss.
It's just like, oh, women are so emotional.
Exactly.
I don't get it wrong. But thank you for that. Thank you for y'all's time. For the sake of time, I'm going to only accept one question from the audience. If y'all have any for our management panel. All right. Easy. Hold on. You'll get your mic.
We got management, but it's for other artists that may be looking for management. what exactly what you're looking for artists to kind of have, and they, you know, what they do, you know what I'm saying, they get advantage, like, what do they gotta have together?
Personally, I just look at all talent, so we manage all facets of talent, whether you're in music, you're an actor, you're a model, you're a painter. And so I just look for talent. You just gotta be dope, right? And so like you gotta know what you have. You gotta know your craft. Like I think everybody that's preached is definitely preached. Know your craft, and you see somebody who knows their craft because they look like it. You go to their Instagram, it matches what they look like. You go to their music, it matches what you see and hear. Everything is in line with what you're trying to sell, right? And so really that's, at the end of the day, yes, he said business is very important. It's very hard to know business, right? And it takes a lot of years to know. I'm still growing and learning business, right? So if you don't know, you can find somebody who does. But what you can't find is somebody who has your brand, like whatever it is you're trying to sell. So what's also important is branding. You really have to understand yourself. You have to understand what you're selling, and you have to always constantly sell it. I'm selling you something right now. I'm selling you 10 times talent brand, you know, and consciously doing it because I understand in order to leverage myself, in order to leverage my talent, I have to be branded in such a way. So you could tell when the talent is branded in a way where you really don't have to do much. Now, every talent is not going to be branded right away, right? But to go to your point is what makes it easy is when I see a talent and I'm like, oh, damn, your music was dope. Let me see your IG. Okay, that looks right. I look at you. Okay, what do you do on a daily basis? Oh, you do that? You go to that event? Oh, you there? Oh, okay, you're doing the right thing. So you're in alignment with what you're selling. So if you're not in alignment with what you're selling, you say you want to rap, but I go to your IG page and you look like a model.
You're selling real estate.
You like do real estate. It's just not that. No matter how like talented you are, that's a whole process to get you in alignment. So I just look for alignment.
I would just be on the business side, so I feel, and this is my partner, so he can correct me anytime if I'm wrong. Just studying that agency or that company. Say if they just signed a young lady who is an R&B singer. If you're an R&B singer, maybe now is not the good time to pitch yourself because we just got an R&B singer. And that's just being very transparent. Other than that, you're going to come to the door, we're going to sit with you, and we're going to have to tell you that. But it'll be a lot easier for you to tell yourself that.
So is that, I'm sorry, then we're going to get to you too, because that was new to me. Is that something that happens in management sometimes? You don't want to spread yourself thin, you want to be focused.
You don't want to take on too much.
Okay.
Some managers take on a lot. If they can handle it, they can handle it.
And it probably can get competition-wise,
Every company is different.
artists.
And at the end of the day, right, what branding is just creating leverage for yourself. This is the game of leverage. At the end of the day, I'm leveraging a talent to get X amount of dollars or to get their dreams to come across. So we're in the leverage game. So a person who comes and has more leverage than this person, it would be easier to get an opportunity versus somebody who has nothing. And then I have to create the leverage versus just taking this leverage that is already there and saying, hey, we can just move in this direction. Now, it ain't always that way. You might just find like a diamond in the rough. Like, you know what? You're so dope where I'll put in that time. You know, and I'll put in that sacrifice and that investment in the artist. So yeah, that's pretty much.
Well, I as a record executive, I deal a little bit different. I like what they're saying and they're right, but I don't fall in love with the songs. I don't care what kind of song you're doing. I can have 10 R&B artists, 11 R&B artists, 10 blues artists, whatever. I fall in love with your work ethic. Your work ethic.
1,000%.
Because what happened is, this R&B artist will not sound like this R&B artist. So, if two R&B artists come to me and say, hey, look, Mr. Covington, I want to try to be on this record label, what do I need to do? Well, first of all, I'm going to listen to their product, their demo. Then I'm going to discern them as people.
Yeah.
And see what their ulterior motive is. Because their ulterior motive is thinking, I'm going to get rich quick. And that's not how this business works. This business does not work overnight success. It takes a lot of work. I slept in my car. And I'm going to tell you something. if you double check all the artists who have been successful, they would tell you one time or another, they slept in their car or slept outside or was homeless. That's what gives you the drive to keep going and to be successful. That's what gave me the drive. I slept in my car in the wintertime. Can you imagine that with the heater off? Because guess what? I didn't want to die. That's right. I didn't want to die.
That too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all.
Yeah.
I think that was wonderful. Let's give our management panel a round of applause. And I know you want to keep in contact with them, so maybe y'all can just once again say how people can reach you all.
So I'm really great at this. At 10, the word spelled out TenX Talent. That's our Instagram. Website is the same. Just throw inkon.com. My Instagram is im.k4. You want to say that?
I just want to shout out our good times team right
Oh
now.
yeah, wait, we have our team. We have Z. But his Instagram is iknowlay, L-A-Y.
Well, I don't deal with Instagram and all that. My business management, my business administrator, she deals with that. I just oversee the operation of the company and make sure that it works. I have a team. I have a business administrator, a vice president. I have a...
That means you should be emailing.
I have an entire team. So, if you want to contact me, you go to imgrecords.net. And believe me, if you fill out that form that's on there, I will contact you back. If you don't fill out that form, I'm not going to get your name. And I'm not going to give you my phone number unless we build some relationships. And the other thing that I would like to say too, Pisa and Lala and Alex are part of the team that we'll work with in our hip-hop section. Okay? And we're working to try to make them...
And they will be performing here tomorrow night.
And make them, and so you kind of see what we deal with. Okay, I'm through.
Well, look,